thank you for joining us for this episode of Glasscast live at GlassBuild. I am joined by NGA's Vice President of Advocacy and Technical Services, Urmilla Sowell, and NGA Codes Consultant, Tom Culp. We're going to talk about a variety of things from what's impacting the industry and how NGA is advocating for you. But we're just going to jump right in here, and we're here at GlassBuild. What's top of mind for a lot of companies here is obviously tariffs. So what's top of mind for you guys when it comes to that topic and how it's kind of affecting the glass industry?
Well, like everything, and you even see in the regular press, it's just a lot of uncertainty. And it's hard. Everyone asks the question, what do tariffs mean? What's going to happen? And the answer is no one knows. It's really uncertain. That it does create a lot of confusion and hard to plan around that. And really, it's hard to say much about that other than we just kind of have to react, and it will be a challenge for the industry. I know, specifically on the curtain wall or commercial framing side of things, it has directly impacted the cost of aluminum because even for extrusions and products that are made domestically, most of the aluminum comes out of, the primary aluminum comes out of Canada. So, that tariff has had an impact there, and then that raises a question about cost. Is it going to increase it to the manufacturer? Can they pass it on to the building owner? And so it's hard to say, other than it is a big topic of concern and uncertainty.
And some of our members right now, when they're bidding a job, is like, do they bid at what price point? And so they don't know exactly, tariffs or no tariffs, or at how much, because there's so much going back and forth, and the uncertainty of it as well. Yeah. So that's something that we've been hearing.
Yeah, so a lot of uncertainty around that. And I'm curious, aside from tariffs, what are both of you hearing about other factors that are impacting the industry right now?
I think uncertainty is definitely a big thing. I think is, with the federal level, like deregulation at that level, now the states, different states are coming up with their regulations. And so depending on which state you're in, some may have, more stringent regulations. Some of them may have a little bit more lax. And so there's a uncertainty, again, is the whole theme right now. And so it just depends on where you are and where you're bidding a job for, what city, what state, and things like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's one thing I cover specifically for NGA is energy codes, green building standards, things like that. We gave a presentation on the main stage earlier, kind of an update to the participants here. And that was kind of the theme, is that, and we've seen this before, that the question is what happens when the federal government kind of takes a step back, especially in the area of sustainability and green and energy. What we saw last time in the first Trump administration, then what we're seeing again now is if the federal government kind of takes a step back, the states and localities step in. That's when Massachusetts and Boston and other places like that implemented very stringent energy codes. So it's, but then other places, are like kind of taking the opposite step and like putting a pause on their energy codes. So it makes it more varied and scattered across the country, and so you're seeing it kind of active in both directions. Some places are, kind of taking a step back. Other places are going to be even more proactive. What that means for us as an association is we just have to keep our eyes open and be involved in more places, not just working on the model national codes like we do already, but also paying attention to what the states are doing, what's happening in Colorado, what's happening in Massachusetts, what's happening in California. And so we have to be many more places at once. And
yeah, within NGA and our members-only site, we have a map that shows, which states, it used to be called Buy Clean, but no, it's more of their sustainability initiatives, how it impacts the glass and glazing industry, what type of numbers, embodied carbon or anything like that is that they're looking for. And so, like Tom said, it depends on the state where things are, and so just kind of keeping abreast of those programs. And so, but we do have that as a resource on our website.
Great. So it sounds like there's obviously a lot of information to keep up with here. I'm sure it can be kind of overwhelming almost, but everyone can always go to glass.org and Glass Magazine and stay up to date on all of that information. Those are great resources. And
we're very approachable. Please just reach out to Urmilla and myself. We're happy to, provide you information, tell you what's going on, and so, we're here as a resource to the members.
Yes, definitely. Great. And so with, all of these changes and that uncertainty, how do you think the industry can best come together to kind of persevere and progress forward through all of that?
I think through the organization, actually. I think, we've done a really good job of advocacy and technical, trying to make sure we harmonize and trying to make sure that it's kind of like globally as well. So what happens in Europe, what happens in Asia, what happens in South America, what happens in Canada. We're trying to make sure that the standardization is the same. So that way, if you're trying to have a product coming in from a different country or going out into a different country, it's the same standards it's being tested to. So we're trying to make sure that where it comes to our advocacy work, we're harmonizing with everybody else. So that way, if you're a smaller manufacturer or a smaller glazer or a company who isn't able to come to GlassBuild, who isn't able to come to our technical conferences, we are there trying to harmonize everything for them as well as the larger companies that are here and keeping up with everything else. So that way, I'm trying to get education out there. I think that's a big thing right now. We have webinars, of course this podcast, we give presentations at different areas, different venues, just trying to really make sure that the information gets out there.
Yeah, and that's what we do. Is we're not here to represent one company or one segment. We're here to represent the industry as a whole, and that's what we do in our advocacy world. What small to big, different types of manufacturers, and in different applications, and that ranges. And so that's where the membership can get involved with us as well. And that hopefully so we can present a unified message when we're going up to Capitol Hill. I mean, obviously DC is kind of a mess right now, but we go there. We have our advocacy days. Urmilla and I are there at other times, interacting with different parts of the government. Part of my work is working on building codes, energy codes, and along with our team with Tom Zaremba and Nick Resitar. That's what we're there. We're there trying to represent the membership, but really the industry as a whole, and kind of present a unified front for to smooth out some of those uncertainties, I guess. Yeah.
For sure.
And clearly you guys are doing just that, because I wanted to bring up, the NGA just got 2 building code proposals approved that are going to promote natural daylighting in schools and in some residential buildings like dormitories and apartments. That's obviously a huge win for the industry. Yes. And I'm hoping both of you can tell me a little bit more about that and, what the industry can expect now.
Yeah, that was a big win. It's very exciting. Just happened just a couple weeks ago, October 24th. But we were in Cleveland, and this is part of the ICC. ICC is the International Code Council. They helped develop the building codes, including the IBC, International Building Code, which is used across the U.S. and Canada and other places as well. In there's a provision that it was a loophole, really, that it said, like, okay, you have to, inhabitable spaces, buildings, you have to provide natural light, windows, or electrical lighting, but not both. And, so, there was some of the press last year about Munger Hall in California and people trying to build windowless dorms. And it's like dormitories. And, I have twins who are now sophomores in college, and it's just horrifying to me to think about, like, colleges in any school, from elementary school to colleges, it's stressful enough. And then to try and do that as a young adult in a space with no windows, it's horrifying. And thankfully, what we passed were 2 proposals. NGA working together with the Aluminum Extruders Council. Passed one proposal that specifically requires natural lighting in classrooms, and this is based on a lot of the work from Lisa Heschong showing the benefits of natural light in view for child development, and learning, improved learning rates, improved health. And then we worked together also with AIA and Professor Juan Miro, who's an architecture professor at UT Austin, had proposals addressing the dorms, and so passed a proposal that would then also require and close this loophole require natural lighting windows in dormitories and also other living spaces, including in apartment buildings. And so that's two big wins. We're not done yet. This is the committee hearing. There's one more hearing in the spring in front of all the code officials, so we have to defend it and make sure it passes through, but it's still a big step forward and for healthy schools, healthy buildings, healthy occupants, and so we can take a lot of pride in that, and obviously good for the industry as well. So.
And Tom, remind me how many years it took to get this through? How many cycles of the code cycle?
Yeah, well, this was our third time, so third time's a charm.
Exactly.
And but it's not just us. The very first proposal actually came from a code official in North Dakota that put in, and we were like a little surprised that he put in a proposal very similar related to classrooms, and he had seen that like this is a problem. We need to provide better environments and spaces for our children, and that was focused on the children. But it goes, like I was saying, this is true of adults as well, and so we've kind of built on that, and it takes a while. That's part of what we do. Is it's people think of the building code as structural and life safety, and so the concept of occupant health and well-being was a little bit new to some of these code officials, and so takes time. You have to work with people. I'm very proud that some of the people who opposed it, the first couple cycles, we turned into advocates. AIA, the Edison Electric Institute, NEMA, different organizations had different concerns in certain specific areas. We won't bore you with the details, but they were all opponents. We turned them into proponents, as supporters. AIA put in their proposal in support. The other organizations I mentioned ended up supporting us at the microphone. So that's part of what we do, and it takes some time.
It takes some time, yes, it does.
These are 3-year cycles, so this is a 10-year effort, but a big win, and that I think we need to celebrate our wins when we can. So.
Absolutely,
yes.
Really big.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad we're here to kind of celebrate it a little bit together, and hard work and well earned, all of that. So
perseverance for sure.
Yes, definitely. So that's, I know you just had this big win, so maybe you're just trying to take a moment to celebrate, but looking ahead to the end of the year and into 2026, what's next? What can people expect in that advocacy space?
I think the continuation of what we are doing, always promoting glass in buildings. The larger piece of glass in buildings, it's better for our entire industry, of course, the entire supply chain. But I think also some of our priorities legislatively is school security. We're still trying to make sure that we're working on this. At the code hearings this time around, it was the first time that we put in school security into the codes. However, we didn't fare very well, but we got some really good comments from building officials as well as some consultants there that are saying, hey, maybe try it this way. Do not give up on this here. This is so important.
It's like the natural daylighting one.
Exactly.
It took 3 times attempts to get the building code world comfortable with it, and it may be the same thing with the school security.
Yeah, so we'll keep on pressing on with that. Promoting energy efficiency, high performance products is always top of mind. Bird-friendly glazing. That's something that we're seeing legislation on different cities, different states also have all different types of requirements. And so legislatively, that's always been consistently the past, maybe, I would say at least the past 8 years or so.
Yeah. And the interest in that has been exploding, and we're within our industry, of course, but even outside. And so with some of that momentum, we have another smaller win, but it's still a nice win that we were able to work with the green building code. So I sit on that committee as well, and we introduced a proposal that is now being published this month. It will include bird-friendly glazing requirements as part of the green building standard, and it references NGA's design guide, and we worked with our members to make sure it's flexible for the different technologies out there, and provide a little more uniformity, because that subject in particular, it's often implemented at the city level, kind of in zoning ordinances and things like that. So it's all over the place. So San Francisco does it differently than Chicago, does it differently than New York, and differently than Canada. And so we're trying to steer that and kind of provide a little more uniformity on the best approaches to that That's just one example. I mean,
Exactly.
bird-friendly glazing, energy efficiency, school security. Tom Zaremba is our expert on fire-rated glazing, and there's been a lot of battles on that area over the years, and so. Yeah, well, there's no rest for the weary. We can't.
Yes. But of course, workforce development as well. Yeah. Trying to make sure that the training programs are in place, making sure that the skilled labor is there as well. But just kind of educating everyone that here's an industry for them. So I think those have always been our priorities that we just continue keeping. And of course, sometimes there's just weird proposals or laws that come up that we have to make sure we're there to defend as well, not just promoting it for the industry, but also defending the products and things like that. And every once in a while, something new pops up, and we need to make sure we continue doing that.
But I think the other kind of message is that you asked what the priorities are, what are the things we will be looking at in the next year or so. We'd also like to hear from the membership, like if, again, small company, big company, doesn't matter. If it's, let us know what what people are seeing out there. If they're spotting some issue in their particular area, if there's some priority they think we should be focused on, we want to hear that. And that has led to things. We had a company an issue in Montana, and it led to us talking about this issue having to do with safety glazing and triple pane units, and it led us to submit and pass a proposal in the building code, that clarified some of the wording around that. So it's, and that was just from, like one small project led to a change.
On a residential issue.
On a national level. Yeah. So, and that's something the members should take advantage of, that, we don't have to be passive. We can be active, and we can affect change. And so,
anything in the building codes, or if there's any standards that needs clarification, or if there's any questions when somebody's reading all of these and don't necessarily know how to work through it, that's what we're here for. And so, if there's any clarification that we can enact change within standards or codes or anything like that, that's what we're here for.
Great, awesome. Well, it sounds like all of that too. It's very timely. I'm looking at the show around us, and you're talking about bird-friendly glass, and I know there's a booth that's displaying some of that. So all of this is, stuff that's really of interest to the industry and to our members. So I appreciate both of you taking some time today to talk through it, and thank you everyone for watching this episode of GlassCast.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.